Too. Yeah, yeah. I'm excited. It's been a couple of years since the last time we've done anything. So
Time
uh,
flies, right, man? Because it
yeah,
just feels like we just did that. You can set that right here. Thank you, sir.
yeah. It's
Yeah, it
like
feels like we just had that chat. But yeah, man, I mean, it's a lost year in a lot of our lives. To me, it wasn't, the worst year in the world. I tried to, take advantage of some things the best I could.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it was definitely different, that's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely stuff that we never thought we'd ever see in our lifetime. You always see it in movies and TV shows, like, oh, is it the end of the world, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. But you never think
Right.
it ever actually would really happen. So
Yeah, but I mean, I did know people that died. I mean, it was very real. In New York City, I know there's parts in the country that, maybe people weren't quite as affected and they didn't maybe carry it with the same weight. But I know in New York City, I mean, it was very real, man. And it's, we're totally not out of the woods yet, but we're definitely feeling like a sense of normalcy though, again, I think.
oh, absolutely, and that's what's kind of nice. Most of the states are kind of opening up. How's it going in New York?
As from what I understand, July 1st, they're going to try to open everything completely. But having said that, it feels pretty open to me anyway, as it is right now. I mean, I'm pretty much doing what I would normally do, and grocery stores and shops are open. And, so like restaurants and bars and things like that, those are still not fully 100% open. But I mean, I went out and ate at a restaurant the other day, and I mean, they just try to have distancing, as best they can.
Yeah, yeah. That's still the weird part about it, where they limit, everything, or limit how many people they're going to have in their
Yes, right,
restaurant
right.
or
And I mean,
whatever.
it's, what, it's probably a good thing. I didn't know if you'd want me to play or not, but I got
Oh,
my guitar there if you want.
hey, if you want to entertain
Did you ever get a
entertain
chance
us,
to hear my new album? Did I get it to you? Do you have it?
you gave me the single, like when she's about to lose her mind came
Oh
out.
man. All right.
But the album I've been listening to via Spotify.
Okay, so
I
you've
don't
heard it
own it.
then.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I don't own it on physical disc, but I just have it on Spotify.
Well, I can get it to you, man. Well, so we'll talk, when we're done,
Yeah,
and I can get
that's
you if you
fine.
want a physical copy. I do have
Okay,
some.
that's fine. Yeah, I'm all for
It
that, man.
depends. Some people don't even have a CD player anymore at all. So
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, and I don't want to talk to you about that too, but the transition from the analog days to the digital days here. It's kind of crazy
right.
how
Yeah,
that.
well, we can definitely chat about that. Yeah, whatever's on your mind.
Okay, well, that's perfect.
I wish I had created like a cooler environment here, but hey, it kind of looks like, the gods are coming through the window though. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you're in your room. I'm in my bedroom. I mean, this is kind of where I live too. So it's kind of, it's like we're just doing underground TV or something like that. Wayne's World style, right? Yeah.
it's cool though, man. I mean, you know what? Hey, man, I respect, people that just, get things done, and that's what I see you doing here. So,
Well,
it's
I
good.
appreciate that. Well, I'm glad that we, can stay connected and everything, because I hate to lose connections with people. No matter what. It's like.
Absolutely. And right as you're saying that, you just lost connection with me because I'm just switching over to my Facebook. But I just want to point people. I did post your link, but I just want to let people know. Is this going to be live, or can they go on live?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The stream link, like I can send that to you if you like. I mean, it should be.
I put it. Send it to me. Well,
I mean, I can send it to you right now via the Facebook. I mean, it's not that hard.
yeah,
I'll do it to
because
you right now.
I posted it, but I see now that there's actually no link here, right?
Okay, let me.
Yeah, send it to me, and then I'll put it up here.
And hopefully it'll let you, because for some reason Facebook's been kind of a butt as far as sending certain links or whatever. I don't know why. Because I tried
really?
sending the stream to somebody else last week, to a lady named Sunday Wild, who I'm friends with from Canada, and she couldn't get it on her page or whatever. So I don't.
Okay,
I don't
well,
know.
I just got yours. It might be because of certain sharing, filters or whatever. But let me try this here.
Yeah.
And can I post this like as
You can do whatever you want with it.
like a news feed that'll just come up, temporarily?
I would think so. I mean,
That's create story, right?
I think possibly. I think
I'm
the
gonna
stories
try
are
that.
just like they're just there for like 24 hours and then they disappear.
But it doesn't seem to let me paste. Let me try one more thing. I know we're getting started right now. I'll just put it on
Yeah,
my regular page then.
that's fine. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if we can get a little bit of an audience, that'd be great. Because that's the one thing that's been kind of tough for me. It's like trying to build an audience. I've been doing this for a long time, but I feel like I still don't have my audience. You, on the other hand, you have an audience. No matter what you do. So.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm very lucky in that regard. So I'm putting it live now.
Okay.
Um,
Sounds good.
Interview.
And just so you are aware, I will also be sharing this or posting this the Zoom video on YouTube. It'll look different compared to the streaming site. So just so you're aware. So there won't be no pictures or anything. It'll just be us with our video or whatever talking. And it'll probably be actually better quality probably compared to the stream. So
okay, I'm coming back to you now. Here we go.
All right. Cool.
And then I don't know if and if you want, I don't know if you're going to do any editing or you're just going to air it like it is when you're done. But if you want, you're welcome to insert a song or two if you want.
I would do that, and even with your permission, I'm sure it'd be fine. But it's just Facebook and YouTube, they're
sticklers, right?
Oh
right,
yeah.
Okay.
No matter, I mean, with you singing, I'm sure that won't hurt anything if you decide to play anything. But
right.
A recording, it's like unless you all
the algorithms call catch us, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, we'll play around with it. We'll see what happens. I don't care.
I'm ready here.
But all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Frankie Slauson Show. If you already are kind of seeing us already, kind of pre-roll or whatnot, I am your host, Frankie Slauson, and I am joined today by a guy who I've been listening to on the radio, not just any type of radio, but on Sirius XM satellite radio. He's the host of Bluesville on channel, which is currently on channel 74 right now. I know they kind of switched some stuff around not too long ago, but it's on 74 anyway. And but not only is he a radio host and has been a host for a while, but he's also a music artist as well, playing all types of music. But a musician who loves music no matter what. All types of music, I would say. But his name is Early Times. And he has a new album out called The Corner, from the Early Times and the High Rollers. Mr. Early Times, welcome to the show.
Frankie, how you doing? It's really great to see you again. We were chatting a little bit a moment ago about it's been a couple of years since we last talked, and great to be on your show again and be a part of it. And music, man, I love it all. So I mean, a lot of what I play these days kind of has a little blues tinge to it. Partly because, I love that stuff, but I also have a little bit of a market for it because of, my work with radio and things like that.
Sure.
But but I play all kinds of stuff. And when I sit at home and practice and play, part of practicing to me is working on other styles, because there's a lot you can learn, and there's a lot to do. But I grew up playing so much stuff, and that's really what I did before I got into radio. Was I really was kind of a musician first and foremost.
Oh, absolutely. I remember you were telling me like your backstory of how it all kind of started with you. And it's interesting because music is so, no matter how a person looks at it, it's like it's just so exciting, especially nowadays, where it seems like a lot more people who probably never thought they'd ever become a musician have tried to become a musician, because they probably realize that, with a little bit of effort, a little bit of practice, maybe I can do something that I never thought I'd ever do and create something really cool. I mean, you just never know. But I know for a fact that with you, music's been pretty much a part of your life, pretty much all your life, right?
Oh, just about, man. I mean, I took some guitar lessons when I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old. And I didn't really stick with it. So I didn't take lessons for all that long, but I did take some though. But I thought it was cool though. I did think it was kind of, even though I didn't keep at it right then, it wasn't really that I thought it was like a lame thing or anything like that. But once I turned 12, I got an electric guitar, and ever since that point in my life, I've been, I eat it like it's food, man. I love to play. I like to entertain. I don't know if I'm different than a lot of other musicians and entertainers, or maybe I'm similar to them, but I love to entertain, but I don't really necessarily crave a lot of attention on me. Like, in other words, like once I step off the stage, like I'm pretty cool just kind of just going about my day-to-day life. I don't need that at like 24/7, but I enjoy it's kind of, it does kind of get your blood pumping to be performing in front of people, and hopefully you're kind of bringing like a good time to the party. I've
Yeah.
always been a believer of the creed that the party starts when the band begins.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. You could be more right about that. And that's the thing. It's nice. That's why I like interviewing guys like you, because you're full of class no matter what. You don't think that you're better than everybody else. I mean, you're not an average person. I wouldn't say that, because I feel like you have reached a level of a status of almost like, well, I call it legendary status, I guess. Maybe I'm saying that word too loosely or whatever, but I feel you've accomplished a lot, even if you don't have a lot, like as far as music goes, but you've done a lot in the radio industry, and that, to me, that's legendary status, my friend. No matter what.
Well, thank you, Frankie. You know, I grew up, as you and I probably talked in the past, I grew up in Sacramento, California, state capital there. And, and I did pretty well for myself in that area. And I played, 6, 7 nights a week, usually in that Northern California area. And I did get outside of there a little bit. I was releasing CDs, doing everything independently. But it was kind of cool. I mean, I still think it's kind of cool to sell CDs out of the trunk of a car. There's a punk rock kind of vibe to that I
Oh,
dig,
yeah.
And I played so in that community, I mean, I had my own little niche. There was bands that sold more records than I did and things, bands like the Deftones and Cake, and a band called Papa Roach came around right around the time I was leaving. Tesla was a big band. Still, they do well. And these guys were all kind of from that area as far as the rock scene. And then there was blues bands, Little Charlie and the Nightcats were coming out of there, Johnny Hartzman. So anyway, but I honestly, man, well, getting back to your thing about, my status and however I'm viewed, I will tell you that I just have been very lucky in my life that I've had some opportunities to do things, to get on the radio, to tour, to make records. And what I've tried to give back in that, fortune that I feel like I've sometimes fallen into, is I really try to give a really good product, be it whether or not I'm just speaking on the air or when I'm putting out an album. This newest album, the Corner that you mentioned, is the first time that I actually reached out to a record label and decided not to release it on my own. Because I felt like I had something good. I felt like this album, it has something to it. And I know you've had a chance to listen to it a little bit. There's kind of a story that goes to it.
Okay.
And I was really fortunate, Frankie, to work with one of the great music engineers in the business, Jay Messina, best known for his work with Aerosmith, Cheap Trick, Kiss, Miles Davis. I mean, he's worked with the who's who, and he's mixed, some of the stuff that you've grown up your whole life hearing on the radio. Jay was the guy who recorded it and mixed it, and worked a lot with a producer named Jack Douglas. Those two have been quite a team together. But Jay Messina, anyway, he's been a very fortunate person for me. Again, talking about luck, I got to meet him shortly after I moved to New York in the late 90s. And somehow I just stayed in touch with him. He's somebody that, I never really asked anything from him or anything, except for sometimes I might call him to get some advice. Maybe I was, there was something going on, and I might call Jay and say, hey, I'm dealing with this, how, is there anything I should think about in how to go about this? It might be like a music business kind of a,
Sure.
or maybe as a recording session you're going to do or something like that. Anyway, he became just kind of a confidant and a good friend of mine. And when I've started recording now, this album, and actually the one prior to it, there was a couple songs on that Jay did the work for me. And so what I found about him was that he has a great sense of musicianship and musicality to him. So not only can he get those sounds, those great sounds in a studio, but he also has an aesthetic taste for music. And where I'm going with all this is I ended up deciding that he would be the right choice to be the producer on this album instead of just the engineer. And I say just because that's a heavy role to play as it is. Because you're kind of a scientist when you're a music engineer. You are a scientist, but producer brings a different kind of artistic quality as well. And so he just has been a pleasure to work with, and he gives me a lot of motivation because he's worked with Steven Tyler and Paul Stanley and
all the greats,
man.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I'm humbled to even call him a friend, but the fact that he has shown any interest at all in my music has meant the world to me, quite frankly.
Have you known him a long time then, or
now it's gone over a little over 20 years. I moved to New York in about 1998, I think it was.
Okay.
And I probably met him within the first 2 years of being in the city. Yeah, I would say.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it's like, kind of like the circle of life, almost like, it's like you never thought one day you guys would be working together. You guys just like, be buddies or whatever. Then all of a sudden, hey, big bang boom, here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and then working with him now, I've got that sound, that high quality, real professional sound. And then so when I went to VizTone Records, and Frankie, the first label I reached out to was a label called VizTone. And they're kind of in dual places. They have an office in Chicago and one in the Boston area. And it was the first label I had ever reached out to, really. And I told them about what I was doing. I sent them the album and they jumped on it and wanted to release it. So I'm working with them, and then Brat Girl Media. And they've really done some nice things for me. Amy Bratt and Richard Rosenblatt are the people that I work with. There's a blues musician named Bob Margolin, who's also one of the owners of the label.
Okay.
And these guys got me out to markets that I wouldn't have been able to get to on my own. And I think I made the right choice by kind of stepping up a little bit and reaching out. And man, when you put yourself out there, you're open to rejection and whatever, but you got to do it, man.
So I suppose most of these people that you reach out to, do they know that you were also a radio host, or does that have nothing to do with why they agreed to work with you? I mean, they just wanted somebody that had talent and good sound.
Yeah. I'm a weird dude, Frankie. Like, I'm not gonna.
Hey, I'm weird too. So what the hell?
Well, here's the thing. Is I think that some people know me as a radio person, and that's just how they know me. That's what they know of me, and how they kind of see me through their ears, on the radio.
Yep.
But and then other people, though, who kind of knew me pre-radio, knew me as a musician. In fact, a lot of people, when I told them I was going to help start this satellite radio back in 2001, they're like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, you play guitar. Like, why would, you've done this your whole life,
Yeah, why would you care about radio? Jeez.
Yeah, like they really didn't think that it was going to be anything at all, this satellite radio. And so, but then I have even other aspects of my life that people don't know either of those things with me. I mean, I do a lot of work with people with disabilities in New York City, and the people that know me through that world, like, they would be shocked that I'm even on an interview talking to you right now, because I don't advertise myself in such a way. And which goes back to what I was saying earlier. When I'm not on the stage or I'm not on the air, I'm not always trying to crave that attention. I like to compartmentalize it enough. I enjoy it. It's fun. But I try to really keep things in perspective too, man.
Well, I just look at you as somebody who's accomplished a lot, and somebody that I idolize to be. You're like one of my heroes, and that's kind of, it's nice to be able to talk to a hero. I have a lot of heroes, so it's not just one person, but it's nice to talk to somebody who has accomplished a lot and hope that. I mean, I feel like I've accomplished a lot too in my short little time of doing these interviews or whatever, but unfortunately, and I keep using the F word, but financially, I can't make a damn dime, so it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, here's what I believe about all that, Frankie, is you keep doing what you're doing. And like the old saying about like God helps those that help themselves, Well, I believe that if you're out there and you're doing things and you're trying to do things and you're trying to do good for yourself and you're trying to do good for your community and you're doing things hopefully for the right reason and hopefully do a quality product, then I believe that things do sometimes fall in your lap. And then the trick is when something falls in your lap, realize it, recognize it, grab it, and don't mess it up.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, I hear you.
Because little things, it's like building a wall, man. And it's like every little, step on the way can lead to something else. But I can tell you, man, I've had times in my life where I felt things were bleak, man. I mean, we all have been there as, artists, musicians, or just people, man, just stuff that we go through in our lives, between relationships and family and jobs and losing jobs and losing relationships, we all have gone through that. And I think that the key is to just keep plowing ahead. Recognize when you're in a rut or when you're kind of in a darker place, and not deny that, but also work towards, I think, what do they say? Idle hands make waste, it's like when you're not doing anything, you get more, I think, frustrated with things. So I think the more that you're doing and active, I think it leads to good things. And I'm, like you have this, podcast and you had your radio show, like I'm happy to be on that stuff. I want to support guys like you, man, because, we're kind of brothers in this thing called media and broadcasting.
Sure.
And, and I think it's a good thing, man. I think people enjoy, broadcasting and things and learning about people's lives.
The best thing that's really ever happened to me, other than just doing these interviews or whatever, this is just a side note. Most people that know me know the story already, but I used to work in television. I actually got a job working at a local Fox affiliate in Rapid City, South Dakota. And that was like the greatest experience because I got to be like program guy, I got to be in charge of a log and got to do the things that, and they paid me pretty good to do that, and I was so humbled. But then some changes happened, and I guess, unfortunately, I wasn't part of the change, part of their future vision or whatever. So, and then I had to go back to getting a real job, I guess. So,
yeah. But listen, man, I will tell you this, though. You have those skills now. You have a background, and wherever you're at, if that's something that you really loved to do, attack it. Still go after jobs. Look, get a map and draw a circle. I could work within this radius.
Sure.
And send out that resume and try to and do something and if you plug away hard enough, you might get something. I'll tell you, man, if this gives you a little bit of inspiration at all, I'll give you a story about me. So I worked at, in satellite radio. I worked for about 9 years, from the very beginning when there was no subscribers up until like there was a merger and everything else. And I got laid off at that time, as did a lot of people that worked there. I was off the air for several years. I went on about my life. I did other things. I kind of thought that was a fun experience in my life that I'll always enjoy and appreciate. But I thought my days of being on the air were over. And one day I got a call, we'd like you to come back on the air. So there's, you never know when that call might come in. And never feel like, because one door closed that another door doesn't open, and that it might take a while for that next door to open, but it can happen. And I can tell you, man, I have lived it, kind of to my surprise in a way. But when you go out, when you're on your way out the door, I will tell you this: when you're on your way out the door, it's a better thing probably not to kick tables and chairs over on your way out and talk about their mama, because if you go out with class and with dignity for yourself, the way that you'd want to be represented, then you never know when that position might open up again, and you may have that opportunity again. Maybe at that same place, maybe at a new place, maybe somebody that used to, know you at one place, but now they're working somewhere else. Those things happen.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I totally understand it. That's why I decided to start doing stuff from home, as far as doing these Zoom interviews, because I kept hearing about Zoom. And I was thinking, are we going for a ride or what's going on here? And it's like, no, this is a Zoom app. And 2 years ago, when I worked, I used to sell cell phones for a short time at Walmart, and I was introduced to the Zoom app. And that's where we would use that for meetings and stuff. Yeah, it was just a little app at the time, but boy, I tell you what, during this pandemic, the whole Zoom thing has really taken off. Everybody's doing it. I'm sure you yourself have probably used it a lot of times. So it's like,
I've
why don't we
used
do
it
something?
for sure.
I did radio interviews, but I felt like, it's time to, like, I have a select few of people that I wanted to have come back on the show, and I felt like, let's like do kind of like a reunion type of deal, pick some people that I really like that I think will say yes again, and do a show. So that's why we're here. So I appreciate you saying yes again, and doing that. Really do.
Man, it's good to be here. Hey, I'll tell you about something that's good that's going on with me right now. Is that kind of on the heels of this album that I put out that's been getting some nice radio play, all around the US and Europe and Australia. I'm getting some airplay. There's a guitar manufacturer out of the Austin, Texas area. They're called Delaney Guitars, and they make guitars for a lot of the really great players out there. Walter Trout and Mike Zito and Samantha Fish and Joanna Connor, the real primo blues and blues rock players out there.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're in the process right now. Mike Delaney is the guy's name that runs the company, Delaney Guitars. And they're actually making an early time signature model of guitar right now.
Oh, wow.
And within probably the next 2 months, that's going to be out, and I'll be playing it and demonstrating it. And then, it'll be available for people to get. And it's a very cool, I designed the shape of the guitar, and then Mike, he's the real luthier, the guy who knows how to build guitars. So he took my general, scratch doodle ideas, and and he's creating like what actually works on a guitar. But it's going to be a unique looking guitar, but very very cool, versatile guitar. And that's what I'm going to try to show, is that this guitar that I'm a part of, and that's going to have my name on it, will be able to be used for like many styles of music, and it's going to be a really premium USA American made guitar, and it's going to be cool.
Wow. Yeah. A little bit of a mix probably between Eddie Van Halen's guitar and BB King's guitar, right? Kind of a mix.
Maybe, let's see here, maybe a little bit. Yeah.
There's some Lucille to it, huh?
Yeah. It's the look is gonna be cool, man, and the sound, I like all those guitar players. I mean, I never saw Eddie Van Halen play live, but when I was a kid, of course I had the the albums, and BB King I did see play live on a few occasions. And, I like all of the greats, they all, even if they're not like necessarily my favorite style of playing, like I still like them because they're who they are, man. When you have an identity and a unique individual style, like that's cool in my book, because it's hard to, those people, those type of artists in whatever field they work in, they are few and far between, and I celebrate those ones who create their own little niche.
Well, I tell you what, in 2006 I was a security guard. I used to work at a local casino, and we used to have like blues festivals and like concerts or whatever, and got to meet a lot of cool people. But I got to actually meet Bo Diddley. He came to the area, and did a show. It's like a year or two before he passed away, so you could tell he was getting older and all that stuff. Put on a hell of a show, and it was great to meet him. And I even have pictures, from that, and it kind of inspired me. It's like, boy, this could be kind of fun, meeting some of these legends and everything. I'm sure
there's a
done a lot
movie
yourself.
Hold on one second, Sean. I just realized I had this guitar amplifier on. It had this little buzz, and I don't know if you were hearing it, but
No,
just in
I didn't
case,
hear
I'll turn
nothing.
it off. Bo Diddley's in a movie. If you ever see it, it's kind of a real B list, maybe even a C list.
Any of the
movie.
Cruisers Part 2?
No. Is he in that? No, this one's. It might even be below that, even a notch. It's called Rockula.
Oh,
but
okay,
Bo Diddley's in it. It's kind of an old like vampire movie from the 80s, and I only know about it because my friend Tawny was like the star, like ingenue in the movie. But Bo Diddley has, some scenes in it, so there you go. If you're ever like in a kick and you want to see Bo Diddley, there.
I know he was in Any of the Cruisers Part 2 because there was a scene where they're like, where Eddie was like, in like a venue or not a venue, but like probably like an old burned down or rusted shed or something like that. Some little place where they played, where back in the day they played and they recorded a lot of music and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And he was in there. Bo Diddley was in that as well. So for those who follow Eddie and the Cruisers or who are fans of that, and because I love that type of stuff.
I saw the first one and I can't recall if I ever saw the second one or not. That's the song with On the Dark Side, right?
Yeah, the first one, yeah. See, I like the second one mostly because to me it tells more of a broader story. It's a continuing story of part one, but more as Eddie was missing, so to speak, and
oh, okay.
But because they thought he died or committed suicide and died in a river and all that stuff, but that didn't happen. Well,
okay.
I hate to spoil it to you now. I just did, but anyway.
Like I said, I may have seen it. Because that's going back to the 80s, early 90s.
89 for the second one, 83 for the first one, I believe.
Yeah, so that's going back. So I may have seen those.
They're on Blu-ray, so I mean, you can always find it on Amazon or whatever. I mean, it's not too hard anymore, thanks to the digital media and everything. And that's what I want to talk to you about. We're back in the day, people collected albums, and some people still do. I mean, as far as physical stuff, I collect movies more than I do music because I used to have a big music collection, but then everything went digital, and I love Spotify. I was a fool for doing it. I feel bad for doing it, but at least all the stuff that I like is on Spotify, so I don't feel so bad anyway. But we live in a world now where everything's digitally this, digitally that, and I mean, what's your take on the changes between analog to digital? I mean, I'm sure you experience it yourself.
Yeah. I think that there's something between this and that, and I think there are a lot of people who are. It's kind of binary. It's either this or that. I'm a vinyl person and I hate digital, or the other way around.
Yeah.
There's benefits to both. When you're recording music, having things digital, like when you're editing things together, it's a whole lot easier than the old days where you'd have a big reel of tape and you'd have to splice it with a little razor blade and tape it together. There was a lot. That was a lot of work. Or you wanted to fix something, but it's on tape, and digital is easier for that. Look, analog sound is still the best sound. I mean, even from a scientific standpoint, digital just tries to recreate what analog already is. So at its very best, it's probably still not going to quite be what it's striving to be.
Sure.
But I tell you, like and I know a lot of cars now don't have CD players in them that are made, but my car actually has a CD player. Now,
sure.
I like to throw a CD in when I'm in the car, I actually bought a CD recently. I hadn't bought like a hard copy CD in a while, but I did buy one recently, and I got a lot of play out of it. I actually bought the last AC/DC album that came out.
Oh, okay.
And I love it, man. I get in the car, I crank that up, man. Sounds good, feels good. And then I also get a lot of artists because of my work on radio. I get a lot of artists and labels that send me CDs.
Sure.
And so, I do try to go through them when I get CDs. I try to, give them a listen. And 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 report to my boss on the radio, and if I hear something, I'll pass it along. So for that reason, hey, even cassette tape is still cool in my book.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's okay too. But if I want just the experience, if I'm at home and I can do whatever I want, I mean, putting on a record album, vinyl, is still pretty cool. I mean, I still have 78s. I have a collection of 78s that go back to like the 30s and 40s, and I've got one of those old wind up Victorolas, man, and I still use it sometimes, man. I get it's a Saturday evening, man, you feeling loose, man, throw on some old R&B from like 1952 that's all distorted and stuff. It's cool, man. Puts me in a good mood.
Oh man. So okay, so you have your Victoria record player and whatnot. So what's like what do you listen to, like as far as speaker wise? I mean, like what's a speaker that Early Times recommends? Because I like have clip speakers. So.
Right, and I know those, and I know Bose are great, and I don't even know if they're still around. Serwin Vega was one I used to see around a lot. I don't know, because I never really had like a great system like that. I do have good monitors that I use in my recording studio. So if I'm in there and I'm listening to music, I have a nice pair of monitors. I think they're made by Kawai, actually. I think that's who makes them, or Awia. What's that?
Awa.
Yeah, and it might be that brand. And I see, that shows I don't even really remember too much that, but I know they sound good. But I never, when I growing up, man, if I had a few bucks in my pocket, rather than buying like a great stereo system or great speakers, I would always get a guitar. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
So that's kind of where my money always went. It's actually been more and more in the recent years that I really have become more of kind of an audiophile kind of a person, that I really have started to appreciate the richness of certain sound systems and things. And that's true with my amplifiers as well. I mean, the guitar amplifiers that I play through, more and more I'm going back and finding old amplifiers that they just have this a funky vibe to them. They still have tubes,
Oh, sure.
I mean, tubes is an outdated technology to everybody except people that like sound, and sound still sounds good with a tube amplifier,
So what type of... Oh, go ahead.
So I mean, even right next to me here, I have an old, small little amp, but I have this little Dan Electro, I think is what it is. And I had, I get them serviced though, because some of these things, believe it or not, like they would not be up to modern electrical codes. They still have like the little 2-prong outlet, plug on them. Some of these are like actually dangerous. So I'll take them when I find one of these cool old little vintage amps. That one there is probably from around 1962 or something. But what I've learned through the years, a lot of great sounding guitar records were made with little amps like that cranked up. You mentioned B.B. King earlier. A lot of those early albums, not even albums, but the 78s, the early recordings of B.B. King, they were playing through a little tiny amp with a small speaker, but they'd get that distortion that was just naturally in the amp, and it just sounded just rocking, man. It just sounded like it was tearing your speakers up in the right way.
Sure.
And from what I understand, a lot of those classic Jimmy Page riffs from Led Zeppelin were recorded through little guitar amplifiers, just cranked all the way up.
So what do you think about vinyl making a big comeback then? I mean, it's hard to believe that people actually would prefer vinyl over a compact disc.
Not to me, man. The kind of arguments for vinyl is that it sounds better if you have a good turntable and you take care of your vinyl. Again, analog from a scientific standpoint is still better than digital. And so if you have a good system and good vinyl, it's going to sound great. also people love opening up an album and seeing like the sleeve and the cover and reading the liner notes, and you didn't really get that as much on a CD, or it's kind of just it's a lesser experience, I think, in a CD booklet than it was
They
on
used to have like
vinyl.
a booklet, but I don't know if they even allow them to put booklets. Mostly just artwork or whatever, or
Right,
whatever.
right.
Yeah.
So, but hey man, I just the other day I bought an entire box set of an artist that you probably never even heard of. Most people probably hadn't heard of him, you know. But an artist named Sil Johnson. He was a kind of a soul singer, very
Okay.
much like Al Green, but kind of almost before Al Green. But they actually recorded at the same studios, same record label. Um, and if you ever listen to somebody like Robert Cray
Yeah.
sing, and then you listen to Sil Johnson, I'm pretty sure Robert Cray was probably a big Sil Johnson fan. So I just found a box set that came out,
Oh.
6 vinyl records, and then like an additional 4 CDs and a full booklet about his life. And I paid like a decent little amount of money for it, but exactly what you're talking about, because there's going to be a night when I'm going to want to just chill out and put on some vinyl, and I know that's going to sound so good when I put it on, and I can't wait. And I haven't even opened the box yet, but I'm that's coming soon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sil Johnson, yeah.
See, myself, I just love, I've always been a fan of home theater and stuff like that, and it's so nice that now, it's more affordable for people, because it never used to be. It used to be big screen TVs and speakers and stuff and setups. Used to be really expensive, and I never had it as a kid. As a kid, I
Yeah.
had just like what you had.
Yeah.
I maybe had like a cheap CD player or something like that.
Yeah.
I never had no amps or anything like that because I didn't know what the hell they were because I was a little kid. So my interests were different. But as an adult, I respect home theater and audio and stuff like that. I think I could work at a speaker shop if I really wanted to. And sell home theater if that was the goal of mine.
I think your understanding and your taste for things become more refined as you get older, and certain people, especially if you find something like audio-visual stuff, or guitar players with amps and guitars themselves for that matter.
Sure.
Yeah, you start to really appreciate the quality that goes into things, and especially if you've ever tried to do anything on your own, you realize what like a master craftsman and craftswomen, like the skills that they have, and you become kind of part of a fraternity, kind of keep that tradition alive a little bit, because so much stuff is manufactured now in a more of a mass produced and a less organic kind of way. And
Sure.
man, when you hear something on a good set of speakers or something that you can tell somebody really put their heart and soul. The guy that actually works on my amplifiers is in Queens, New York, and his shop, he actually does more stuff with like home audio. You'd love his shop, I'm
Oh,
sure.
wow. Yeah.
But he's good with my old amps and things like that, and he appreciates that stuff too. So I feel like they're always in good hands when I take something into him.
So in your studio that you have,
Yeah.
like when you listen to music, do you use subs at all, or do you not use subs at all for
Never.
better bass or whatever?
No, because I am hearing enough bass on them, and I kind of don't want to, when you're mixing music, if you're mixing on things that are like, if the average person is not going to have subs, but you're mixing it for that, they're going to have kind of a skewed listening experience when it comes out. So I think it's good just to have a good set of speakers. And a lot of this I learned from Jay Messina too, because he doesn't use subs when he mixes,
Okay.
and he really, is kind of a mentor to me. He said, his belief is, and this is the road now that I've kind of followed as a result. You know, get used to the speakers that you have, get good speakers, but you don't necessarily need subwoofers, but get good speakers, know them, and then start listening to something that sounds good already.
Oh, sure.
Like a
Absolutely.
Pink Floyd record or something like that, so that your ear gets attuned to those speakers, and then you can start working on your own mixes, and you should be fine like that. So it's not like I have any aversion to listening to music with subwoofers or anything like that. A lot of the music that I would tend to listen to, I don't know that it would matter a whole lot to have the subwoofers anyway.
Okay.
Because a lot of the stuff that I listen to is kind of before that became really a thing. I mean, I listen to old blues stuff, old jazz, soul music. Um, and I'm not sure how much the subwoofer experience would really enhance that stuff.
Well,
It might.
I know for my home theater, I have two 12s, and they're about 400 watts a piece. And I tell you what, in a good action movie or a war movie, I tell you what, they're pretty. It's like you're almost there. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, and movies, they're because they're made for movie theaters that usually have those types of surround sound systems and things like that.
Sure.
They're kind of made for a different you know, well, first of all, they're made on a whole different budget than most records and things like that.
Sure.
But like my record, the corner that came out, I mean, I feel like there's plenty of bass bumping through that.
Oh yeah.
And when I've heard it on speakers that do have a little enhanced bass, I mean, I'm feeling it. I'll tell you an interesting story about there's a tune on the album. And it was kind of the first tune that we really started digging into on the new record, that Jay really started to put some time into mixing and playing around with. And he made some great suggestions even musically for me. And it's a song called Do What She Do. And what was interesting about that song is there's another recording engineer who's been around with Jay. Their careers almost have paralleled going back to the 60s, really. A guy named Shelly Yakus. And Shelly is very well known. He was the recording engineer on Damn the Torpedoes by Tom Petty.
Okay.
He did, I think, the big third album of Bruce Springsteen. Was that Born to Run, maybe?
I'm not too sure. I don't know my Bruce Springsteen.
I don't know my Bruce Springsteen either. But he's in other words, he's done some like very major albums for major artists.
Sure.
And so Jay played him a little bit of what we were working on, and he had some thoughts and ideas that he threw at us, and and they were good ideas. Like Jay was like, yeah, that's actually like a really good idea. And so in a way, then I had this other legendary engineer who just kind of on the cuff, had a little hand in this record. It's really crazy, but that's really cool. And so when you listen to that song, you're gonna hear in the drums, man, the drums are just really popping, and the drums and bass together. And so with your good speakers and stuff, I think your room's gonna be shaking a little bit.
Well, I know on these Skull Candy extra bass headphones that I'm wearing, they everything sounds better, no matter what.
Okay.
So, and I was listening to it before we started talking, so to refresh my memory a little bit, because I don't listen to it every day, but I wanted to get refreshed because I listened to it when you told me about it, and then I've been listening to it off and on because I have it on my shuffle, but I have other artists too, so it'll come up once in a while. So yeah, I love it. I mean, I think it's just like what you were saying, it's like anybody that wants to be creative and create some type of art, no matter what, we're all artists, we're all trying to do something fun, not be not bringing violence or horrible things to the world. We're trying to bring good things to the world, and I think an album, like this is perfect for this time.
Thank you.
So
I know you're an acquaintance of Papa Chubby, yeah?
Well, I don't know if I'm an acquaintance. I met him 2 years ago in Fargo because I'm in northern Minnesota, and you were talking about Robert Cray. He's going to be playing in Fargo on the 14th of August in Fargo. Okay. So, but Papa Chubby, yeah, I met him 2 years ago at the Fargo Blues Fest, and he was pretty nice. We didn't get to chat as long as I wanted to, like doing something like this, but we got to meet anyway and take a picture, and that's pretty much, he don't know, okay. He probably don't remember that, but I do.
Well, so, we need to get him on your show. But what nice. What I was going to say, is that he and I were chatting recently, kind of getting back to your thing about bringing a positive energy to, your community and the world in general. And that was something he said, as he, gets older and older, it's like, he just wants to bring like positive energy to what he does, and he he'll call people out. I mean, if people are acting a fool, he'll speak his mind about it. But I think he wants to present a positive energy to the world, and he actually is on one of the songs on my new album. He's on a song called "She's About to Lose Her Mind." I reached out to him, and he played some really nice guitar with me on that one, and he's become a good friend. One of the great things, one of the fortunate things about being on the radio that has given me a chance to be a part of kind of a brotherhood and a sisterhood of musicians who are doing this, and I feel like I have my own little place in that. It's not any elevated place, but I'm there. I think that a lot of the musicians see me as an ally, see me as somebody who plays, but also is trying to spread this music and help their career as well. And
absolutely.
And and be hopefully just be a good soldier for the fight, of what we're doing with music. And particularly, a lot of what I do is based around blues, and it's a style of music that is really still thriving. It's a style of music that still kind of evolves, because it kind of takes a lot of what's going on with what's ever happening now and filters it through a long tradition of style, and so it can always kind of stay fresh in its own way. It's interesting that it's like that, but I really believe that that's true.
And speaking of music, I know earlier in the beginning you had your guitar out. You can play anything if you'd like. I mean, we had some time.
Let's see here. So this guitar that I've got, of course, I turned off my amp. This guitar, this is like the guitar that's like not cool to play, like when you're like a kid, you want to see like an Eddie Van Halen guitar, right?
Yeah.
But this is like a man's guitar here, though. Like when you play like something like this, you better know what the hell you're doing, because it'll humble you really quickly. A lot of these other guitars that are like kind of the new thing, they're set up to just play like really fast and really, but on something like this, you better be a true player and know what you're doing. And that's coming through that little amp there. So you hear that old distorted kind of funky
saturation.
So the one I did with Papa Chubby on the new album is as I mentioned earlier, there's kind of a storyline that goes with this album, and it's I'm not like trying to go like full on like Roger Waters, concept album type of thing, but there really started to be this story that I started telling for this album, The Corner, so anyway, one of the songs is called "She's About to Lose Her Mind." I'll try to do a little bit over here for you. It's kind of a bluesy tune. Dear Lord, would you just look at that? Somebody home, the bodega cat from the basketball ring in the project park. Nobody saw who did it. It was too late, too dark. But if you think that's bad,
awesome. Well, I appreciate that. That and the song is just so soothing and just I mean it's really, really and your lyrics, it's like you probably sang those words so many times already. So it's like you just know it by heart. It just comes
Yeah,
natural.
man. Well,
Is there
thank you. Yeah. That's
yeah.
why, I mean, the album, I try to use my voice in different ways too. There are some songs on the album that I sing in a lower register and some that I sing in a higher register. And I like that dynamic. And sometimes I think the song, when I write a song, sometimes I'll try it in many different keys. Sometimes the minute I write it, I know what key it should be in, and
Yeah.
where I should sing it. But, sometimes, I think people like to hear a dynamic voice. So I think, sometimes it's good to stretch a little bit and show that you've got some range.
Sure.
And also not just range in the pitch that you sing, but also in the textures that you sing. Sometimes
Yeah.
you want to sing very clean and clear and dictate your
Sure.
words. And other times you want to shout it out, and
Oh,
just let it rip,
absolutely. Gotta shout it out loud, man. I tell you.
There you go. There you go.
Well,
So,
I tell you what, man. I appreciate this has been a fun interview, and I really do appreciate you. Because I feel like you're such a busy guy. Why would you have time for a little guy like me? But you've proven that you again and again that you do care. So I do appreciate that.
Fraggy, I'm honored to be on your show, man. And it's always a pleasure to chat with you. And there's really no big guys or small guys. Because I tell you what, man, like I told you, there was a time where I was on the radio, and there was a time when I was laid off from the radio. And you can feel that way. You can feel like on top of the world or at the bottom of the world, but you're really just the same guy.
Oh, sure.
And so to me, I'm very happy to talk with people and with yourself. I think what you're doing is great, and I'm always trying to encourage, do things like this, man. Make the world a better place. It's good, and you create relationships like this, and and I'm very honored to be, even asked to be on your show. So
Oh,
thank you.
oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, for anybody that wants to purchase your album, how can they do that?
You pretty much get it on all of the sites digitally, like download, from the Google Play and iTunes and all of the, almost any online retailer has it. I do have a small number of CDs you can find online if you look those up, or you can go to my website and order. My website is earlytimes.co. It's not .com, it's just .co.
Okay.
So you can order through that as well. In addition, my last album too, the new album's The Corner. The last album I put out was called Hit and Run. And I have a large back catalog of stuff, but I haven't re-released it, but at some point I'm going to, I don't
Oh,
know, maybe
absolutely.
individually as albums, or maybe I'll do some kind of a collection box set kind of a thing.
Have
But
a early times marathon.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so you can get my stuff like that. And as you say, if you want to just listen, you can do it through Spotify and Pandora and the likes of those things. And, it's all good to me because, if people purchase a CD, I mean, it's great because it's, it gets that out there. These days with digital, getting back to your question about digital, you can see streams, how many people have streamed your thing, and that has value to it too. And,
Sure.
I'm humbled if anybody takes the time to listen to any of it, But as I say, it's gotten a lot of good radio play. It's been steady on the blues radio charts in the U.S. since it came out, and also over in Great Britain and France, Australia. It's been doing very well. So now I gotta follow that up.
Yeah, no kidding. Is there anything are you currently working on like a little tour? I suppose this has to be my last question. Just kind of like a little small tour now that things are slowly getting
So
back.
yeah, I would love to get out and do some playing. The places are just now starting to open up, and everything's backlogged because all those touring musicians for the last year and a half they had to rebook and then rebook their rebookings, and so I'm gonna have to try to find my little place in that. But I would love to get out and do some playing, and as I say, I love to play and perform, and I also want to support this record some. And in the meantime, I've been fortunate enough to get the radio airplay, which has helped me, stay kind of alive and afloat a little bit with that. But yeah, I want to get out and do some playing, and I hope I can do that sometime soon. And I'll let you know when that happens.
Yeah, if you ever do a tour and you come out to Minnesota or whatever, let me know, and I'll try to find you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure, Frankie. I'll definitely do that.
All right. Well, I appreciate you just give me the time and let me do this with you again, and much success in the future, my friend.
Anytime, man. Thank you very much. Have a great day. All right, I'll take you out on this. Well, hold on.
All right, man. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Take it easy.